God bless you. We're glad to be here again. And thank God for you joining us for another Growing in Grace podcast. We invite you to call your friends and your loved ones, and maybe even if you have an enemy, let them know about the Growing in Grace podcast, where we might grow in grace and knowledge. And so we're glad to have with us today Minister Matthew Jones.
Yes, sir.
And today we want to talk with you about being single
Yes, sir.
and saved.
Yes, sir.
Single and saved and single, both.
Yes, sir.
And just how you can be single and still serve God and be saved. And glad to have you. And
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
yeah, so what do you think about your journey? And can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yes, sir. Grew up in a family where we was big on Christ and big on the Word and everything like that. But of course, growing up, you have those obstacles and you have those different things that at the time looked better.
Yeah.
So, as growing up, I always was in the church and I seen how church was going, and I seen, Bishop Lawson preaching and the other ones that was preaching and everything. I said, one day I'm going to be a part of this. But that's what my mouth was saying. My heart was saying something else. And, I can remember times, just going to church and, hearing them preach. And, even one day I went to school and they was about to fight. They said, well, whose side you on? I said, I'm on the Lord's side. And, they shamed me so much, I ain't say it no more.
Oh, yeah. So what grade were you in when that? When
I was in the second grade.
He's in the second grade. So
Yes,
that put you about 7 or 8? 7?
Think about 7.
About 7. Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
second grade and
So you didn't know that wasn't cool to say at the time.
right, I didn't. I thought, everybody was like the people was at church.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I thought they was going to be like, okay, all right, well, cool. They was like, on the Lord's side. Hold on, we about to fight this person. You say you on the Lord's side? And, they shamed me out. And, so I started trying to fit in. And, as time went along, I started seeing where I started sagging the pants a little bit. Started getting with the wrong crowd to where, I wasn't doing what they was doing. But the perception that other people were seeing, they would think, okay, well, he's smoking just like them. He's drinking just like them. But mainly I was just there to try to fit in. Yeah. But even with that, the teachers would tell me, now you know better.
They could see that you didn't belong.
Right.
I see.
And they was like, if I call your daddy right now, he gonna come up here and whoop you in front of the class. and sure enough, he did. And that just made me even madder because I'm like, I'm trying to,
I'm trying to fit in.
Yeah. And he come in here, whooping me and everything, making me look soft. So got to the point to where, I started getting picked on. And my parents always told me, tell the teacher. So I went up and I told the teacher, and she said, what, you scared of him? So I said, well, they told me to tell the teacher. I told her. She asked me, was I scared of him? So the next time they said something, I went and, flipped them out of the desk.
Oh, you took care of them.
Right. And I started noticing then, okay, this is not really the road I want to go down, because I started noticing the disciplinary start getting thicker.
You started getting a record.
Right. And, different teachers was like, I don't want him in my class, because he's just going to, disturb the class and stuff. And I still was, trying to fit in and stuff like that. And my dad talked to me. He sat me down one day, and usually I get a whooping. This time he said, I'm going to talk to you. And he told me, he's like, I'm giving you over to God. And I don't know what it was, but when he said that, I changed. I changed, and I went to school the next day. They was calling me DeMario, which was my middle name, and I was like, my name Matthew. So, you know, I would start going by my first name and start getting A's
So
and
you
B's in
changed your
school.
name.
Yes, sir.
They had a certain name that they were using for you, but then you just told them, say, hey, call
Right.
me Matthew.
Right.
And so you had decided that you was gonna change.
Right.
And so you said, just call me something different.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And, you know, I started getting A's and B's and everything. So then I went to high school. And the lady, I was in her class probably about 6 months. And she said, I'm looking at all these disciplinaries. And, you know, all the teachers already told me how you are. So I already had prepared to just send you to tribunal. And I got there and she was like, but you different. I was like, yeah, it's been a change. And I started paying attention to the word. But I was paying attention, but I still wasn't taking it in. I still wasn't applying it. Because
Not
I was
fully.
still, I was doing better in school,
I see.
but I was still trying to fit in.
I see.
So I was still sagging. I was still cursing. I was still, you know, disrupting, you know, the class and stuff like that. But I ended up getting sick. And because I ended up having toothache, so I went to the hospital. They gave me the wrong medicine. Took that medicine, and it got to the point to where I couldn't say nothing. And my mom, somehow she knew something was wrong because she came down there and she was like, everything all right? And I'm just waving my hand. Couldn't say nothing. And you know how we always say, Lord, if you bring me out of this, I'm going to do.
I'm going to do better.
And I did that. And sure enough, he caused my blood pressure to go down because it was in the 200s. Caused it to go down. And by this time, I hadn't graduated. And I said, okay, Lord. I said, I'm about to go ahead and join the church. Because I had already been telling my brothers and sisters, when I turn 17, I'm going to join the church. When I turned 18. And it seems like each time that I was putting a time limit on it, that something else came up and I was like, oh, no. And so then I started driving and stuff like that. And I was riding some friends in the car. And I came around the curve too fast, ran into the light pole. And, you know, the other guy, he got out. He was like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And I said, okay. And I was like, right there, that could have took both our lives. But I still wasn't ready. I still was, you know, trying to do what I was doing. I hadn't stopped cursing because I had said, you know, when I was in middle school, I said, this is the last day. I was like, vocabulary is bigger than this. You know, I could use other words. I said, I ain't got to curse. And I haven't cursed since. And
so you stopped that in middle school?
Yes, sir. Stopped sagging around high school. Because I was like, this don't even look right. And the thing is I knew better. But the thing that made me stop doing that, I was in Henderson Temple, about to walk out the door, and Sister Naomi, she was like, boy, pull your pants up, you know better. And it shamed me out, and I was like, they know I know better. How am I going to do that in the church? And the thing is...
Oh, so you tried to do it at church?
I didn't even know I was doing it.
Oh.
But it had became a habit.
I got you.
And I said, nope, not no more. So slowly and slowly it start shedding off. And end up talking to this lady at the job. And, you know, when I asked her out, I was like, hey, you want to come to church with me one Sunday? And she was like, okay. So we started talking from then, and we just kept talking. And then we ended up getting engaged, probably about 2 years after. And then that's when she finally came to church. So then when she started coming to church, she was like, I don't know about this. We need to find us a church together that we both comfortable in, and, you know, stuff like that. I was like, nah. By that time, I was like, this is where I'm at. This is the life I want to live. And she was like, well, if you're going to choose this life, she was like, I can't be a part of it. And I thank God for it, because I asked him, I said, Lord, if this not the one, show me. And it's like different things start happening, like right off the bat, red flags. And I was like, well, no, maybe I'm not seeing it correctly. But when he told me that, some clicked and said, there you go. That's your way out.
Yeah, when she said she wasn't gonna, she didn't
Yes,
want to
sir.
live that life with you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And really, as a single person,
Mm-hmm.
if a single person is striving for sanctification and living
Mm-hmm.
for God,
Mm-hmm.
it's not wise to be
Mm-hmm.
unequally yoked together
That's
with
right.
an unbeliever,
That's right.
or to make a lifetime commitment for somebody with
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's not willing to live for God.
That's right.
And if you want to live for God, you probably don't want
Mm-hmm.
to marry somebody who don't want to
No,
live for God,
not at all.
because that can be a
Mm-hmm.
trouble
Mm-hmm.
for your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I had to see, is because I'm like, okay, this is the road I want to travel. So I need to find somebody else that want to travel that same road.
Right.
So, I asked God about it, and then I started dating another young lady. And we talked for a little while, and she was actually she wasn't in our church, but she was in holiness.
Yes.
And this is where I started learning where you could be in something or around something. So with her, what I found out is she was around it. She wasn't in it. And I was to the point to where, I'm in it. This is what I want to do.
You committed.
Yes. And, still stuff that she was trying to do. And I'm like, you say you in holiness, right? She's like, yeah. She's like, but that's on Sunday. I'm like,
That's on
oh.
Sunday.
And by this time, I had to develop a good relationship with her son, and we was talking and everything like that, and I could see the change in him and how he was changing in school and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah. I said maybe I could probably still have a relationship with him, and I gotta let her go. I said, because the thing is I'm looking at living for God, and I said, I know this path that I'm on. I'm gonna need somebody that I can encourage them, they can encourage me. And that's just not going to be there. Because it's like, when I wanted to go to church, well, we going to church on Sunday, so why you want to go to church on Wednesday or on Thursday or Friday? I was like, the more I go, the more I learn, the stronger I get. I was like, you should know that. You in holiness. And so then she was like, yeah, well, she was like, it's too far in. So that right there was the key word.
Wait, so she told you was too far in
Yes,
for her.
sir. Right. Yes,
I
sir.
see.
Because, she dressed holy. She knew how to act holy when she was at church. And away from there, she
was somebody different.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I knew at that time, that's not what I want.
Again, be not unequally yoked together
Right.
with unbelievers.
Right.
And
And what it showed me is the one that I was trying to talk to. I needed to make sure that that's the route that it was going, because it's like the person could look that way, they could act that way, but what's in their heart? So then that's when I started looking at self, and I took a break from it.
you took a break from trying to find a mate.
Yes, sir. Took a break from it, and I said, I'm going to work on self. I said, because obviously it's something that I'm doing that's causing them to draw to me the wrong kind. So I need to change myself
So you wanted to be
to draw the
attractive
right
to the
kind.
right.
Right.
Yes, I see.
Right. So took that time and, started looking at self and started looking at the things that people couldn't see, started looking at, where was my love? Where was my joy? The fruits of the Spirit. Where was that at? And then I started looking at, well, are you where you need to be at in order to take on a mate? So then I started working on that as well. And, I was doing good at the job. I was in management, and I was about to move up to even higher management. But when I went into management, I started seeing where this is taking me from church. This is taking up my time, because it's like when I'm thinking I'm going to be off on Sunday, well, we need you to come in and work because this person called in or that person called in. And then it's like when they wanted me to go higher in management, they was like, well, this is how this is going to be. You're going to do a good bit of traveling. You're going to be over multiple stores. Do you want to take this on? And I prayed about it, and I talked to Elder Robinson, and I was like, I really want to be at church. He was like, yeah. He said, but you're doing the work of God, because, he said, if you don't work, you don't eat. And I said, yeah. I said, that makes sense. He said, but that's the decision you got to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the decision to open up my own shop.
Mm-hmm.
And, I like it because now I'm able to interact in church more. And, one thing I had to look at, another thing that was holding me back was I had unforgiveness in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So once I talked to him and I asked him, I said, well, how do you get over, this unforgiveness and this church hurt and stuff like that? And he told me, he said, God could do it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but you got to trust him. You got to believe in him. And the more that I start seeing God work, the more confident I got in him and the more confident that I got in church.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I just thank God for it.
Well, wonderful, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So now you're a single man, and in fact, an eligible bachelor, and so how do you maintain as a single saint? How do you maintain your status as a sanctified, saved man, and in singleness?
Yes.
And you perhaps want a wife, but right now you haven't found that right one to lock in on, so to speak.
Right.
So how are you maintaining? And so what are you doing to maintain it?
The main thing is I know, Satan tricks. And anytime he try and tell me something, I be like, Satan, you a lie. And I resist him. And it's like temptation is going to come.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, temptation is going to come. But to me, it's more of a mind thing.
Yeah.
If you could keep the devil from, you can't keep him out of your mind. But if you could keep from reacting the way he bring it to your mind,
Right.
that helps. Another thing that I do is, I'm constantly staying busy. I work at the shop. I'm working on photography. On the weekends, sometimes if I have time, I go out and, visit the homeless and stuff like that. So mainly I stay busy and I stay in the Word.
Yeah, well, good. I got a couple of scriptures that we can talk about. That's Job. He said he made a covenant with his eyes. That's Job 31:1, I believe it is. Let's see. Pick up on Job 31:1. It says, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? And then the other scripture that coincides with that is Matthew 5 and about 28, where it says, but I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Right.
So can you speak to that and how you have to kind of get your mind right with your eyes and what you're looking at and all those type of things to maintain your salvation as a single man?
Yes. So mainly a lot of times you're going to probably look once because it's probably going to walk past you. But when you go back and you're trying to look again, that's when you're messing up. So the main thing is it's hard not to go around it because in the store you're going to see it. You may even see it in church. Somebody probably haven't came up to where they need to be. So
dressed inappropriately or provocatively. Or, sometimes the women decide to dress sexy, which is, really when it comes down to God's standard, really should dress modest. But you have so many who are unwilling, or like one of your friends said at one time, they're not that far in. They said you were too far in, and so they weren't that far in. They don't want to be that. They don't want to be that committed to where they submit their dressing to the standard of holiness. And so it raises a challenge for men, for women to dress provocatively, showing more skin than they should. I think Bishop Lawson, your former pastor and my former pastor, he spoke about how the women of the generation was showing their belly, the arms, and the thighs. Belly, arms, and thighs.
Then he said they don't have enough to cover a good-sized chicken.
Good-sized chicken. Yeah.
Yes,
so that's a trouble that we have in this generation. And so then as a man that's living for God and wanting to maintain your integrity.
Right.
There's some things you have to do to maintain.
Yes. That's right.
And like you said, you got to watch what you're looking at, and
That's
how long
right.
you look.
That's right.
And how
That's
long
right.
you gaze.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a situation where David got in trouble. David got in
Yep.
trouble watching Bathsheba.
Yep. That's
He
right.
was sitting up on the housetop, and one of the problems that he had gotten idle. And I noticed that you said that how you try to stay busy.
Yes, sir.
But in David's time, I think the army had gone out, and he had stayed back.
Right.
And so evidently he was a little idle.
Right.
And
Right.
so then he was sitting up on the housetop and started looking down and looked down on a woman bathing on her roof.
Yep. That's right.
And what he did was he looked too long. He know she was beautiful, but he was looking too long.
Right.
He should have looked away. Oh man,
Yeah.
that looked good right there. Let me go in the house.
Right.
But no,
Yeah.
he kept gazing. And then he devised a plan.
Right.
And had
Yeah.
that woman to be sought to come to. See,
That's
then
right.
he was making provisions for his flesh.
Right.
And so, as a single man, we
Can't
have
make
to.
provisions.
You don't
Yes,
make
sir.
provisions for the
Yes,
flesh.
sir. That's
Yeah.
right.
Come on, talk to me.
And that's the thing too is even when it happened, what I do is I cry out to God more because He know that's some natural. That's some natural, and that's why He want us to get married, and that's why He want us to have a mate. But one thing about it, I can say I'm living witness. God can keep you.
Yeah.
He can keep you. And I thank God because the house that I have, I've been in it since 2013. Not once have I had one that stayed overnight. I probably had, a cousin or something like that, but other than that, no sir. And the thing is even the neighbors, they know, and they're like, "You not married? I never see anybody go in and out of there. I see your mom and your dad, come there for Wednesday night Bible study when y'all do live stream and stuff like that." And he said, "But you need to get somebody over there." I said, "When God sent it." Yeah, but it's great to have that testimony.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing too that I look at. The devil, he put thoughts in your mind. But if you really resist him and you really submit yourself to God,
Yes.
God will take care of you.
That's true.
God will take care of you.
That's true.
But the thing is, you got to want to be kept.
That's right. That's right. Well, certainly the scripture says in Corinthians 10, it speaks about, I think, 10:13, where it says that there has no temptation taking you.
Right.
But such as is common to man. But God will, with the temptation, make a way for you to escape.
Yep. He always
that you
got a
may
way.
be able to bear it.
That's right.
Now the way is there for you to escape if you want to escape.
Right.
See, that's what some people's problem is. They don't want to escape.
That's right.
They want to be captured.
Right.
And so rather than resist the devil, they yield.
Right.
And they surrender to the will of Satan.
That's right.
And obey what the flesh is saying.
That's right.
Because the flesh got many foolish and hurtful lusts. It'll bring up things now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be many opportunities. And the devil, he tried to trap us, and get us into things and make it look like it's going to be so good and great. But God show us the way out.
That's right.
And now, will you accept that way out?
Right.
And that's where some people, they just don't go to that open door.
That's
It's a way out.
That's right. They be looking at that way, and then they be like, but that's where you mess up. And the thing is what the devil does, he put that thought in there first.
Yeah.
And if you adhere to that thought, it's gonna get in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're gonna do it. And that's the thing. That's why I tell anybody, your spiritual man got to be stronger than that flesh.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're gonna give in to that flesh.
Yeah.
Because that's what the flesh wants.
That's right.
But the spirit, the spirit is constantly contradictory from what the flesh wants.
Yes, yes.
And that's why we got to crucify it.
Yeah. And I know that in the book of Proverbs, it talks about that woman taking you with the eyelid.
Yes,
it talks about going upon hot coals.
Right.
Can a man take fire in his bosom?
Right.
And his clothes not be burned? And the reality of it is if you're going to be single and saved, then you've got to watch the contact that you have.
That's right.
The contact that you have, because I know sometimes people think that a little contact is benign or it won't hurt you.
Right.
But that little contact is just like you work with cars,
Mm-hmm.
and so what about a spark around gasoline?
No, it's going to ignite. It's
you,
going.
you heard
Mm-hmm.
about the situation that some people experience
Mm-hmm.
where they go to the gas station
Mm-hmm.
and then they go inside of their car
Mm-hmm.
and they come in and out of their car while they're
Mm-hmm.
pumping gas.
Mm-hmm.
And what can happen with that?
It can definitely catch on fire.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Because the spark, and then you got electricity.
It's
And,
static
yes,
electricity.
sir. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just a spark
Mm-hmm.
can ignite fumes.
That's right.
You see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
a thing that a man or woman has to be careful of
Right.
when you're single and you're trying to maintain a
Right.
testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, the hugging and the
Right.
kissing and
Right.
the rubbing and
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Mm-hmm.
As a single person and
Right.
striving to maintain sanctification and
Mm-hmm.
holiness, those things are not permissible.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and I think that's Proverbs 6:26 says, well, let's look at the 24th verse. It says, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman.
Mm-hmm.
Lust not after her beauty in thine heart,
Mm-hmm.
neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
Right.
Which they have those eyelids now.
Yes, sir.
They'll almost reach out and touch somebody.
You're right. You're right.
It'd be like, it's like little tentacles that's
Yes,
coming
sir.
out at you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they're so long, and then they have all the eyes all
Right.
painted up,
Mm-hmm.
and really it's to attract you to those eyes.
That's right. That's right.
It's a scheme, and the devil is using that to get your eyes to attract to their eyes.
Right.
And so it says, don't let her take you with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Can a man take fire in his bosom? And his clothes not be burned? Can a man go on hot coals and his feet not be burned? So it's something to think about, that touching and all
Right.
of that.
Right.
Somebody's about to get burnt.
Yes, sir.
What do you think?
I agree. And even now, if I was to date, I always try to go somewhere that's out. Not somewhere where we're gonna be in cozy and watching a movie or anything like that. Because, like I say, I know the tricks of the devil, and he may say, "Well, y'all just watching an okay movie. It's okay for it to come by." No, because you get there and get inside the house, and you know nobody can't see you and stuff like that. So me personally, I would say either chaperone or either go out to where other people is out. That way, then, even if she would try to say, well, he did this, or I got a witness right here. And but yeah, that's what I noticed from dating in the past is, they'll try to, well, just come over to the house and we could, watch a movie and eat popcorn and stuff like that. We ain't married. We ain't married, so it's best to go somewhere in the open. Because what you want to do is whereas you may be to the point to where nothing may happen. She may be to the point where nothing will happen. But the Bible say abstain from all appearance. So the appearance of her going in the house with you and y'all coming out a few hours later, even if y'all didn't do anything, it appear that something happened.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, like, one of the things that you just told me, told us, is that right now, even your neighbors acknowledge that you don't do certain things.
Right.
You see. And they're telling you, well, we don't see X, Y, Z. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
sir.
what's happening is, it sounds like you got a testimony that even some of your neighbors can even vouch for what you do.
Yes, sir.
And for what they see happening. And say, man, you need to.
Right.
They got their own standard, you see.
Right.
They say,
Right.
man, you need to get somebody in that house. And but you have a testimony.
Right.
You have a testimony.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to maintain
And that's the
that.
main thing. I look at, I want to keep my testimony, and that's the main thing, because I mean, if you don't have the testimony, what you got? And a lot of people, they look at that, and the world don't like it. The world don't like it. They want to see you fall, and they want to see, you be like them, and then they be the main ones to be like, see, I knew you wasn't nothing. So,
Yeah. So, it could be done. It could be done as
Oh,
a single
yes.
person. And so, what are your desires for? What are you looking for in a wife?
I'm looking for one that's rooted and grounded in the Word. One that's we could grow together spiritually and naturally. A praying woman, you know. Um, Looking for one, we could just sit and talk and enjoy each other and have fun and laugh, and just a lot of them ones now that's out there, they just so quick to jump into bed and different things like that. I'm like, no, that's not what it's about. So I know the road that I'm looking at traveling, and I know it's gonna be times where I'm gonna need that encouragement. But if she not holy, she can't encourage me. So that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And the thing is I see a bunch of examples in the church that helps me look for what I need. And, I look at one that would be a good preacher's wife, so, and then one that's good with people. Because if they're always caught up in drama, you get married to them, going to be more drama.
So you are kind of looking for the meek and the quiet
Yes, sir.
spirit that in the sight of God of a great price.
Right.
So you're looking for that Proverbs 31
Yes, sir.
woman, virtuous.
Yes, sir.
Very good, very good. And so, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Let's see. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah. So you're satisfied.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I know you desire to have a wife, but how is that with you that you don't have one, but you're in the ministry? I know that Paul spoke about how that you actually can please God better by not being married.
Right.
I know in Corinthians, the 1 Corinthians 7th chapter, he speaks about that, how that by not having a wife, you can serve God better. You can
Right.
serve God without distraction. I know that when I came into the ministry, I told my wife, well, I was getting ready to marry her. And because shortly after I got into the ministry, I got married because I knew I was designed for
Right.
a wife. And so I think it was like some months after I married my wife. And I told her who I was before we got married.
Right.
And so I said, well, I'm going to be in the ministry. I'm going to be preaching. But one of the things I was thinking about is traveling.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, well, I get me a trailer and I can get me like a little trailer and I can just travel.
Right.
But my wife, she didn't want a trailer.
Right.
She didn't want our house to have wheels on it. She wanted a foundation on our house.
Right.
And so that kind of hindered me on some things. I had to kind of settle down and get a house with a foundation.
Right.
And what have you. But so tell us a little bit about how being in the ministry and being single, how that's actually a benefit to you. Because I can see how, yes, it's a benefit to have a wife, but it's also a benefit to not have one.
Right.
Because sometimes people look on the other side and think the grass is greener.
Right. Right.
So tell us a little bit about singleness and sanctification and being in ministry as a single person and a liberty and freedom that you have. Tell us a little bit about that.
I would say I could pretty much go to services and I don't have to worry about, well, you going to church or anything like that. I don't really have to worry about that. I could go to the services like this past week. I was able to go to the singles conference. I mean, not singles conference, the youth conference. And I was able to stay overnight and stuff like that. And I didn't have to answer to nobody. Of course, if I was married, then I would have had to say, hey, you think you better go up here? Or, you think we got it in the budget? But with me being single, I could go and I could travel to different churches and, visit, other one of the elders in the church or something like that. And, just the liberty of being able to travel and being able to go. And
So
mainly I'll be able to do more for God.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So when you get off work, you can just hit the road
Mm-hmm.
and come on up to Atlanta. I think
Right.
you've come to some of our outreach
Mm-hmm.
ministry.
Yes, sir.
You
Mm-hmm.
get off work and you just hit the
Mm-hmm.
road.
Yes, sir.
I see. And so that's good. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. Do you have a vision for how how you can expand your ministry?
Um, I'm still working with that because I'm kind of thinking about doing an outreach like what you're doing as well.
And really, I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about taking advantage of your
Mm-hmm.
singleness.
Right.
While you're in that season,
Mm-hmm. Right.
you can, really maximize,
Mm-hmm.
while you're in that season
Mm-hmm.
because you get married. I
Mm-hmm.
tell you, brother, it's
Mm-hmm.
different.
Yeah.
It's different. There's a different expectation.
Right.
Because here's the thing I say about that:
Mm-hmm.
in marriage,
Mm-hmm.
even though you might be in ministry,
Mm-hmm.
that wife marries you for some of your time.
That's right.
And
That's right.
sometimes I know we're talking about being single, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people who are married, they make a mistake
Mm-hmm.
thinking that their job as a man or a husband is to bring money home.
Right. Right.
Well, actually, she don't want just the money to
That's
come home.
right.
She wants you to come home too.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes, sir.
hopefully she didn't marry you or doesn't marry you for your money.
That's right.
I hope.
Mm-hmm. That
I
makes
hope that
sense. Yes,
nobody's
sir.
married for the money,
Right.
and actually for the individual.
Right.
And if you're married for that, then that person wants some of your time.
That's right.
And so while you are kind of free, where nobody's having a claim on your time, with a woman saying, "Matthew, you belong to me,"
Right.
right now you really just belong to God.
Right.
You know.
But yeah, travel more and try to get into more services.
Yeah.
And learn more and constantly continue to grow.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, good. So, what advantages do you see? If you were to list some advantages of being single, what advantages would you list out?
I could give God all my time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give him all my time and mainly solely commit to him. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, so you got your advantages for being single, and what about the advantages of being saved? Can you list some advantages for that?
I would say the advantage of being saved is a lot of trouble you don't have to get into. You can live a clean life, you can live a happy life, and mainly you don't have to worry about even being around that because you know what's out there. So being saved, now you're able to help somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. I try to, whenever I get a chance, I try to talk to some of the young people, when I see them, and, just try to talk to them and encourage them. And, try to invite them out to church and tell them, come on, talk to a man that I met, and that's working out pretty good because I got some on Facebook that have just messaged me and, they asked me to pray for them or either we'll talk and, I give them encouragement and some advice and, I'm waiting for them to come out to the church, but right now I can see the change in them. So.
Good. Well, that's wonderful. And I say that it's wonderful to be saved, whether you're single or married, but God can keep you.
Yes.
God can keep you as a young man. You still a young man?
I'm 35. I'm starting to get old. Yeah, I feel like I'm starting to get old.
Well, God can keep you though,
Yes, sir.
and He's a good God.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think you have any mamas out there.
No, sir.
No mama, no baby mama.
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, I got one. I got a baby mama, and she's my sweetheart.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend.
That's right.
And my wife.
That's right.
So it's all, I got a package deal.
Right.
I got a combo.
Yes, sir.
And so
Yes, sir.
it is nice, I know sometimes people make, some errors and and maybe have a baby mama or two, or
Right.
how many ever.
Right.
However, it's wonderful to get saved and,
Yes.
and let God deliver you from
Mm-hmm.
not creating more.
Yes.
If that's already happened.
Right.
You're single and you got a baby mama. Well, don't do that again.
Right.
That's the thing. That would be my message.
Yes. Most definitely.
Because there's some grace and God can recover a person. But one of the best things is to not go down that road.
That's right.
Not go down that
That's
road.
right.
I share something with you that happened. I had a friend when I was working, and this particular person was working with me, and I was ministering on the job on break time, and so this person wanted to start paying tithes to the church where I was serving, and I didn't ask him to pay tithes. Number one, I didn't ask that. Then number two, I definitely didn't ask to see his check.
Right.
But what he did was he just wanted to show me what trouble he was having because he had like 2 or 3 baby mamas. And what was happening is he was barely able to make it.
Right.
And that's what I would say to single men.
Yes.
Before you begin to have all these experiences and make these errors and create these, baby mamas and things of that nature, you ought to think about the economic consequences that can have on you. I'm not even talking about salvation. I'm talking about economics.
Yes.
I'm not talking about you being saved and sanctified, the Holy Ghost filled and fire baptized. I'm talking about your economics. And to have your check to be divided several different ways, because there is a way whereby the government can actually take part of your check before you even get what you feel like.
Yes.
You might feel like I'm going to make my distribution, but the way the government does sometimes is they'll distribute before you even get it.
Right.
They'll garnish your wages, and so just be careful.
Oh yeah.
Be
I had
careful.
a technician that I was managing, and he used to come talk to me a good bit, and he used to always ask me, "Hey, I can hold this until Friday." I'd be like, "Well, what's going on with your money? You making good money?" Because I knew what he was working on, so he was making probably about $1,500 to $2,000 a week. And he did the same thing that you said. He showed me his check, and he was only taking home probably about $500. And the thing is, he still didn't learn from it. He went out and got some more, and I'm like, I think he got about 8 now.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
sir. But
Okay.
he done got married and everything, but yeah, that's definitely something that can happen.
So I think this is appropriate to quote this and close with this. It is good for a man not to touch a woman.
That's right.
That's 1 Corinthians 7:1. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife. Let every woman have her own husband.
That's right.
And the thing about that is it is good to get married, but until marriage, it's good for a man not to touch a woman.
That's right.
And avoid that fornication and avoid all the trouble that come behind that.
Yes.
And I think that's just good, sound advice from God.
That's right.
And,
I agree. I agree.
So I appreciate you and your time and you making
Appreciate
this
you having
journey
me
here.
on. Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.